welcome to the June 6th morning meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we approve the minutes from the April 25th meeting and entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as stated.
Okay.
No, I'm just talking. Sorry. Okay.
All those in favor signify by aye. You can read that something in.
Okay, so I sent you an updated, same format report that we used in the past. As of today, we've closed both of the operations and the money market accounts have both been closed at German American, and all of those funds have been transferred into the auditor's office. We were waiting on that final investment from Gateway for that annuity to mature. We received that check for a total of $191,101.02 last week, and it was deposited. So the balance that I'm showing down there in Fund 7304 is the balance that the auditor's office shows of $712,739.96. That is that's including the claims that I presented to you that we'll need approval for as well. So that's after that. The innkeeper's tax for May, well actually, I need to give you April because we didn't meet then either. So April was $39,744.86 and May was $56,760.36. Based on my calculations, we are about 24.7% ahead of last year at this time. That's all I have as far as that side of it. Motion to approve that.
So moved.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by
Alright. And just for the record, I did give you two claims. One was for, it's coded under professional services. That is the invoice from Creative Insight Community Development. So that was the consultants, Michael Fortunato, for the branding of the Jefferson County Tourism Alliance. And then a claim from Visit Madison for the second quarter payment and also marketing expenses through the end of, I believe, April. So for $79,065.74.
motion.
I'll move to approve the two claims as presented.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by
Alright.
Lucy?
Thanks for your time tonight. I'll keep it short. I emailed a report to you, and you can let me know if you have any questions. I'll just touch on some highlights. We continue our search for our executive director. We also had Hannah Schaefer of Bentley. She resigned. She accepted a teaching position at Hanover at Southwestern. So she will be leaving VMI, and we started the search immediately for a replacement for her. I do not have a visitor center attendance for you, but I'll email that to you as soon as I have that. A couple quick reminders. We have in the contract that we need a representative on our board. Have you guys talked about putting someone on our board?
That's good.
No?
We'll get that taken care of.
Okay. And another thing, if we could have I think you've been sending the minutes when you.
I have to Tiffany.
We appreciate that, thank you very much. If we could get treasury reports, Curtis, that we could keep on file at BMI, and that could just be a standing request. We have about the last 20 years, so we would like to keep records of that so we have it current. Madison Regatta's coming up. Pre-event activities start on June 25th. You can check out their website at madisonregatta.com. I looked at it this week and it has everything current. The race days are the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd. Riverfest, August 19th and 20th. They have a brand new logo this year to celebrate 20 years. They're really excited about that. The committee's working really hard. You did a great job on that logo. It was a headache, but you got there. So it's really good.
Thank you.
The Chautauqua dates are September 24th and 25th. You can check out their website. They've got their information up and current. Really proud of them and their hard work and effort. We continue to work through trying to improve the relationship with BMI, and we're really getting somewhere and it feels good. Steamboats. You want to talk about the steamboats? Because you spent a lot of time on that. So I'll let you get to that. But the staff and the board, we met with the Economic Development Director, Tony Steinhardt, and their representation from the American Queen. So I'll let Sarah talk about that more when she gets to her report. I talked to a few retailers out there, and they were reporting May as like a record year, record month for them. Memorial Day weekend, they said was like Chautauqua. So people on the streets are having a lot of good things to say about business and how they're doing. Trolley Barn reopened in May. There's 5 new businesses located there. They had a grand opening this past weekend. Our staff attended that as well. Let's see. Oh, the car show. That was a great success. They had 515 entries. That was the biggest they've ever had before. If you were down there, they stayed very, very busy, and there were a lot of people on the streets walking up and around town. So you can get on our website and check out all the more information on our events that are happening. Everything is up and current, correct? So we're in good shape there. Last meeting, there was a little bit of discussion, and I apologize for my timing, but we're going to research more on town and country to understand how smaller events can impact tourism. I was talking to Kim Neuberg about her work in Tennessee and how they were able to do the rural and town and how to mix all that up and increase tourism in our area. So we're going to talk about that more. Maybe at the Tourism Alliance level, if not at a BMI level when we get our direction. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
I have one question.
Sure.
So when things happen like the car show downtown, down on the river, I know that it's hard to figure out the impact. Are those people getting, are they flowing up? Are they, that? Is there any comments on that?
So the indication from the STAR report was that, and just as a reminder, we have 4 properties reporting on that out of the 8. The occupancy rate on that Saturday is the highest I've seen it, so it was at 90%. And even the Friday before, but it's escalating. So it's hard when you have an event that's open to no ticketing and all that. Except the impact, I think.
It's a real good question though, because Sarah has offered like to Mad Hawk to try to figure out their economic impact in the community. So we could do the same thing with the.
Yeah, I can reach out to them. I reached out to them.
Car show's such a big deal.
Yeah, it would be good to know the impact too, and it is difficult without ticketing and admission fees, but yeah, we could reach out to them as well, and see if we can get numbers from them.
As not a scientific response to the question though, I spoke to an owner of 2 businesses, same owner of 2 different businesses on Main Street, and he indicated to me that was a Chautauqua level weekend for them.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, how that translates to all the other businesses, I can't begin to say. But that particular owner was extremely
Very pleased.
happy with it.
And if it was gonna get out, it's still carrying over, you know,
Yeah.
it's a long.
Yeah.
But yeah, those events, that's what brings me up. So,
Lots to report. From a marketing standpoint, just in full-fledged with Riverfest. We're even trying to get some of the stuff out there for nights, but as Lucy spoke, the event branding was a big deal. Everything is out now. Been working on everything and anything you can think of for Riverfest. So that's going on. A couple weeks ago, Visit Madison serves on the steering committee for the Leadership Jefferson County, which is a program that's held by the Jefferson County Madison Community Foundation, and so they always have a tourism session, and so we hosted that, had some really great speakers, including Mr. Crafton over there. He spoke about his businesses as well as a little bit about the tourism board, but also we had businesses from a variety coming in talking about what the impact is for tourism on their business and what that means. And then we also gave them a tour of the new boutique hotel, the Chandler, so kind of sneak peek on that. So it was just a really great session. These folks, the students are from all different businesses around the county, and it was just a great success. So the American Clean Voyages Coordination, there's just, since they started coming in, we've been really working with the city on, what that experience is like for everybody, including, the captain and so we've been working with the port director. They love Madison. They have people that are Riverlorians that come here that are been all over the place and they prefer coming to Madison. So a lot of really great feedback from just even passengers, but speaking with the port director and how we can improve that docking situation and making sure that our boaters are taken care of and the water attraction is taken care of, and so we usually take care of the excursions part of that contract, and the city takes care of the docking agreement. But now, we're all kind of working together and making sure that that all parties are taken care of and working towards a great solution for when where they need to park when the water's high and when the water's low and such. So been highly involved in that, and our staff does a tremendous job of organizing the step-on guides for those buses, and of course greeting those visitors. And Jess is highly involved in the historic sites too, from that standpoint. But we have been very good at making sure that everybody on Main Street and all of our businesses know that the buses are in town, the groups are in town, making sure that they know. We had the photo contest. The photo on my report was the one on Main Street. If you haven't seen it, that won the contest. That person won $100 in chamber cash, so hopefully drive them down to shop on. Well, we'll drive them down to shop on Main Street. Yeah, so there's that. We've had a couple actually requests for these national magazines about a lot about Fairfield End, what's going on with group, what's going on in Madison. We've gotten a lot of interest in what's going on down there that we can pitch stories to. So getting some travel writers with increased interest of our area, and so excited about that. The Ohio River Way, there's a lot going on with that. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the press releases out there, but tomorrow the 250-mile challenge excursion from the Ohio River Way will be docking in Madison, and we will have a ribbon cutting and presentation tomorrow at 5:30. We welcome everybody to come down. The folks that have been driving that coalition will be there. We're getting special signage, and I believe the Parks Director will be accepting that signage. And it's not necessarily where the signage is going, it's just where we're doing it for that time. But it's just a really big deal having the focus on the Ohio River and that recreation and what it means to, ecologically, the tourism and recreation, as long as going down the high scenic byway and people that like to cycle and get off and camp and things like that. So anyway, I digress on that, but there's a lot going on and I'm very excited about that. I'm working on another campaign with Cincinnati Magazine, which was so successful and award-winning, as we had last year, for a getaway in Cincinnati area market. Just constantly working on everything, working with the city on all the new posters downtown. They haven't been updated since 2017. So the maps that have directory and all that. So we met with the city and Main Street and trying to make sure we're covering everything. And we decided we're going to kind of pull some of the visitor guide information, kind of like the visitor guide. So working on that artwork and we're trying to expedite getting those done. The sentiment studies that are out there for Longwoods International are saying that COVID is still around 19% on affecting a decision to travel, and gas prices and got better by 2%. So it was 38 last time I reported. It's about 36% of people say that gas prices are affecting them traveling. So it's really nice to get that information. Again, she mentioned that we offered the EIC to Matt Hop, and again, I'll reach out to the car show. And I kind of touched base on SDR. Let's see here. Memorial Day weekend, like I said, 90% on that Saturday. That Friday was 79%. As far as ADR, average daily rate, from the multi-segment report where we compare ourselves to those other 5 counties, we've been #1 in ADR. So that was, and so I'm still learning these numbers and understanding them, and you guys live with them all day long, every day. But, so that was something to report. I did check in with Cliffy, because they're not one of the ones that report, and they gave me an occupancy rate of 67.2% from since July of 2021 to their fiscal year through May. So I asked if that was normal, and she said it was actually on the low end. They still feel like they're seeing the effects of COVID with midweek stay. Reunions are being canceled still, and of course corporate business. So, but their ADR is $117. So it's up. It's more than the average that I just reported. So anyway, there's always that. That's still a key component of our marketing and what we do is to reach out and get some groups here and all that. So we have Madison and Bloom coming up this weekend and the following weekend. So there are 6 private gardens to be toured that benefits the Jefferson County Historical Society. Of course, that same weekend, the following weekend, we also have the Wine Stein and Barrel, a couple events that are coming up. So lots of good stuff. Thank you.
All right, next is our discussion on the keeper's contract.
I'll just revisit what we talked about back several months ago, that our tax was implemented in 1981 at 4%. We increased it in 1987 to 5%. So for the last 35 years, it's been at that number. 5%, there's 62 counties in Indiana that have that same rate, including us. So there's only 4 counties that have not changed it, that are older than us. So a lot more have changed it in the last 20 years or so compared to not changing it. So obviously we know there's a need for more investment and more only revenue stream we have is the innkeeper's tax. So that's really the only opportunity for us to, I guess, drive our revenue is look at a tax that doesn't affect local people. So it is a true visitor's tax. So it is the people coming from out of town staying in our hotels is where it's at. So And we all know we've reached out to Randy Fry, our rep, and he's here tonight. And we need your assistance and, recommendation and maybe some coaching along the way and just your overall thoughts on what your take is on it.
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me tonight. I appreciate it. And I love coming to Madison, love hearing all the wonderful things that are happening. I'm keeping 421 hot, coming down from my home to your home. And so love Madison. Love the new Fairfield Inn. Beautiful, beautiful facility. So as Curtis said, you guys are at 5%. You've been there a while. I have the statute in front of me, which was provided to me by Ways and Means. It says if a county wishes to collect a tax in excess of 5% and would like to use the money for a purpose other than what is specified in statute, special legislative authority would be required. What that means is we have to pass some sort of legislation that would allow you to increase. Certainly it's a tax increase, whether it's on the hotel residents that are staying there or whomever. So it's certainly something that you'd want to take a good hard look at before you decide to do it. But on the other hand, the decision whether you want to do it or not would be up to you all. After you decide, if you were to come to me or one of my colleagues or senator and say we'd like to increase, then we have to draft some sort of legislation, and then with that, we have to see if we can get it heard. For instance, I doubt it would be a standalone bill. Most likely it would either be an amendment into the local government finance bill or the budget. The budget bill is 2023, goes into effect July 1, 2023, so it'll be just a little more than a year before that would be possible. We're not even back in session for regular session until January, so I think we may be in a special session in July, but this wouldn't be eligible. So that's the procedure. First off, the decision of whether you want to raise it or not is up to you. Then we decide who or what we want in the legislation, and then we file it. Probably, again, not a bill. A standalone bill like this would be a target. You'd want to try to amend it into the budget, but you have to get Chairman of Ways and Means and the Chairman of Senate Appropriations to go along with it, or you won't go anywhere. So even if your rep or senator was behind it, if those powerful committee chairs aren't behind it, you didn't go anywhere. So that's pretty much the procedure. I'm not going to coach you about whether you should raise it or not. You all know what to do when it comes to that, whether you have enough money or you don't have enough money. And we'll just have to see, what decision you make. And then we'll, probably the best thing we could do, let's say, for instance, you decide that you want to raise it. A couple of you need to come with me to the State House. And we go sit down with the Chairman of Ways and Means and say, what do you think? If they look at us and say, not going to happen, fellas, you might as well pull it. It's not going to happen. What you want to do is you want to find out where you are with those people well before the legislative session starts. Maybe we could work a little bit to get a little better audience once the session starts. So that would be what I recommend is, and maybe even make a small presentation to them about where you are and what you're trying to do. But that's pretty much the procedure we tend to do. Again, I wouldn't file a bill. I'd probably just try to amend the budget. And, I'm not on Ways and Means, I'm not on Senate Appropriations, I'm not a senator, but it would take someone on one of those committees to put that amendment in that bill. Most likely, if you convince the chairman of Ways and Means to do it, then he would offer it. So it's not that difficult, I just want you to understand I can't do it.
Sure.
Has precedent been set for other counties?
Well, I think Curtis
Is it-
pointed out that, a lot of counties have changed their tax, and some of them are above 5%. It's just gonna be, so sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason why things go or don't go at the General Assembly. It's just the mood of the at the time, sir.
You think does this seem controversial in any way?
It can be.
Why would it be?
Well, anytime you raise taxes, it's controversial. There's somebody out there that's gonna take it and run with it. It could easily be. But as Curtis pointed out, it's on people visiting Madison, but still, you just have to be cognizant of the fact that you're raising taxes, and that generally is a controversial issue. Ma'am?
So are the people who are chairmans of those committees, are they up for re-election right
Oh, it
now?
wouldn't
Do
make
we
any
need
difference.
to?
That would be post the election anyway. So,
Right, but we'd have to wait till November really to.
well, you would have to
Make
wait
sure
till
that was-
January, if you really had anything. You can have
Right.
meetings. You can have meetings anytime. Of course, the chairman of Ways and Means is retiring, so the new chairman of Ways and Means hasn't even been named yet. So we'd
That's
have to
my
wait until that happens, probably in November.
Yeah.
But still, this isn't a real complicated piece of legislation. This is something that they need to understand why, and if they agree with you, then it happens. So, I think this group has to decide whether it's necessary, and if it is, whether you want to go forward, then we'll figure out whether we can get it done or not.
I guess timing wise, it's November then, that's what I was gonna say, or is it worth sitting down and talking with some before November?
I think I'd probably wait. I'd wait till the new chairman of Ways and Means most likely won't be named until the week after the election. Now, it's possible that the new chairman of Ways and Means could be elected or named this summer if they're unopposed. But you don't want to go and name somebody as chairman of Ways and Means and then lose it in November.
Sure.
So that would be the only indication. So probably would be after the November election. But that would give you 7 weeks or so before session starts. That's plenty of time to get up there and make your case. One of the things that I did pick up on, you said your income from the innkeeper's tax is up about 20% over last year. So that information is public. People are going to say, well, if it's up that much, why do you need to raise it? So not my place. I'm not asking you that. I'm just throwing hypotheticals out here.
And we're very aware of that, as other people in the community have asked of, hey, why do you need to increase it if it's up or we came on off a record year? But we know there's a lot of places we haven't been able to invest because
That's your decision. I'm not trying to influence your decision one way or the
really
other.
understand. Yeah.
I'm more of a facilitator. I'm not going to coach you whether you ought to or you ought not.
Yeah.
But just understand, even if you decide to do it, there's no guarantee that the General Assembly will agree with you.
Sure.
So with that information, what's our next discussion?
Well, it strikes me that at the very front end of the discussion, we need to have a plan
Yes.
that lays out what we intend to do with such an increase. Why do we want the increase? What's our intention to do with it? Because without a plan as to what it is we're gonna do with it, then it becomes well, you're just doing it to do it.
Right.
I think that's vitally important, and I can tell you that if you go before one of those two committees and ask for money, if you don't have data to back up your request, you're just wasting your time and theirs.
Okay.
So they're going to want to know what do you want it for and what are you going to do with it. So I think that's an excellent point. Having gone before them a time or two and been embarrassed, I'd just soon not do that again.
As a person who has also gone before them, my recommendation is not just having your data and information, but know those people that you want to go with you, because that is a very critical part of the presentation. And if it is November or December, tourism folk are, occasionally busy with things like nights before Christmas. So planning that out as well is always a key component when you're going down to the State House. Make sure you have the right people in the room with you to tell that story, because that makes or breaks it almost as much as the data. So.
Good information.
But I think we need to think on those things we want to invest in and kind of get those, we can estimate how much a percent would be and kind of start putting together a plan and seeing how we can come up with something, and we're getting a little bit of time to.
May I explain the Tourism Alliance, you mean again?
So I had put out a doodle poll to get everybody's availability on a good day, and it's been very hard getting a day that, and getting response actually. I haven't gotten a lot of response, so I sent out a reminder to the individual that had responded, and I got a couple more, so I will push it one more time. I wanted to have it this, either this Thursday or Friday in the morning, that was the date. I'm trying to get those people that were coming,
Yeah, good
coming,
point.
so I will give you another update on it.
It would just be nice, that would be something we could use as well. You know,
Oh, yeah,
something
that
that we're
input
talking,
too.
the whole group comes and says, hey, this is kind of our wish list.
Right.
And this is what, you know, we could put that in our budget of
They can
what
help
we want to sponsor.
come up with those ideas
Right.
or support them.
You might also estimate what percent you'd like to increase and make sure you can justify that big of an increase or small of an increase. They may say, you know, 7% is ridiculous. They may want you to drop it to 5.5. I'm not saying I know.
Sure.
I would want to know exactly what the increase was going to produce and what I would do with it.
Do they do 0.5% or is it all?
Yeah, there are some.
They'll do a half, probably a quarter.
I haven't seen any, not to say that it's not, I've
We
seen,
can
there are
pretty much
some
do what we want.
0.5%.
Whatever we put in the legislation will be what it is.
Tax on a daily basis, I suggest we use the whole number, we don't
I
have.
agree.
Just, you know, makes it a little easier on us.
Would you like to be a multiple of 10?
That would be real nice, if we just go to 10%, make my life so much
Wow.
easier.
I was just thinking about it this way. When people from Jefferson County go to Indianapolis, they pay 11%. People from Indianapolis come to Jefferson County, they pay 5%. So I think we ought to.
We owe it to them, is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, we have, and Trevor said this before, and I believe he's right. We have one of the best, if not the best tourist attractions in the state. And it's underperforming, I think, because we can't really support the groups like we'd like to. So that's my newcomer opinion.
And you can also make the point of, you said that our ADRs are on the lower end, so that's, and there's no, you don't pay to park, you don't, all of that stuff too, is a lot of.
A lot of
That's
planning
something
that
we
goes into
don't
this,
get,
yes.
yeah.
Good point.
Just a note, Senator Chip Perfect will most likely represent this area. He is on the Senate, not appropriations, but tax and fiscal policy, which would be a very influential position for someone to be an advocate for you.
Is that the family that owns
It is
the
perfect
two
North Slope.
and the golf course?
I don't know about golf, but he
They
owns
used to have a
Perfect North
golf
Slope.
course.
He's been there now several years. He's extremely intelligent.
God, I'm gonna talk to him, promoting nuclear energy.
Oh, yeah?
He said, I'll give you a job. I'm like, "Oh, I already took a job."
So should we create a subcommittee or somebody to kind of take the lead to identify, I mean, on a presentation level, creating a presentation, the salesperson for that presentation? Because obviously it's not just, it's gonna affect the entire county, so, I mean, representation from multiple people is gonna be needed for multiple groups. Don't we have something in our bylaws where we can develop some subcommittees, right, or a committee?
The board may designate and establish such committees and task force as it considers appropriate to carry out the effective.
Okay.
Does it have to be done in
3.7.
public? Can it be done?
No, committees.
Well, once again, it depends on what.
How many
Three
people?
on the- yeah.
Yeah,
on the-
so
Three,
yeah,
I
I think
think,
it was
would be on
three.
I think getting the information together and starting, and once it's presented, it'll be in a public meeting.
Oh, sure, sure.
So do we have anybody that wants to be?
I knew that was coming.
Well. Oh, you stir the pot and you walk away.
It's usually how I roll, but,
I'll be happy to participate on such a committee.
Okay, so we have somebody from the city involved, maybe that lets you off the hook.
I mean, I don't wanna speak for Ron, but I would love to have Ron's support as a hotelier on there. Definitely.
I'll do it if you guys will coach me on what to say.
Well, I think just getting the data and the information
Yeah, that's-
is the important part. We can find the pitch person when that time comes.
You ain't never been to that, but
But yeah,
we're not saying that just yet.
I think it would be more than appropriate that we draw in somebody from the,
restaurant.
you know, well, restaurants are important, and that's frankly one of our weaknesses, at least within the city,
Mhm.
and I think in the county too, for that matter. But I was really thinking more in terms of the Tourism Alliance, because that brings in ideas of strengths and needs that we may or may not be openly aware of here in this boardroom, and Visit Madison for that matter as well, because they're on the front line.
Yeah, I would definitely want somebody from BMI, you know, a part of that. And I was just thinking of Michael Fortunato. You know, bringing in a Michael Fortunato to just be a part of that committee. I'm not saying I'm not speaking for him, and I don't know if he'd even do it, but he popped up in my head.
I certainly think he'd be excellent in that scenario.
I think if we get our strategy first and then start bringing people in.
Yep, naming players.
Because I think that if we say, okay, if we wanna increase this much, this is how much we had to do with this, and we can say, okay, Sarah, how much would that cost? And just plug those things, you know, into somewhat of a formula type thing.
Mr. Fry, what,
So you're gonna be.
when you
No, I'm
throw
not
out,
close.
you know, and I understood what you said a while
I'm
ago,
like
but if
that.
you throw out like 7, do they
Encourage.
usually go to 6? If you throw out 8, do they usually go
Well,
to
this
6
is
and
my
a half?
first time taking something like this there. I've done
Okay.
other things like increasing taxes for local jail, for instance.
Sure.
And then they generally want to make sure that it's appropriate to go that step.
Okay.
And so your data is going to be important, what you're going to do with it, and what's your return on investment, and so on. But there's just no way to tell. I mean, if you go too aggressive, I would surely expect that they'll push it down. But if you, it's up to you what you want to try.
Sure.
They could adjust it down, and they could just say no. So we just don't know until we try it.
Okay.
Just a little sidebar here. I noticed you mentioned a while ago the gas tax and the amount of gasoline and what it's costing. It's horrific. I put $65 worth of gas in my truck a while ago and I had 3/4 of a tank. So I think we're going to have a special session in July. That's what I'm told. I don't think we'll suspend the gas tax, but I think you'll see a significant tax return to the people. Biggest reason not to suspend the gas tax is 40% of it is for people outside the state or corporate. And an awful lot of the state's surplus comes from sales tax on everything, including gas, but every other purchase. We want to get that money back to the people. So I think you're going to see that. We're going to talk about it more tomorrow. I have a lot more information on it for tomorrow. I think you're going to see that. And we rebated $125 to each taxpayer this year. I think you're gonna see a significantly larger amount, and probably still this calendar year. It's all speculation, but I think it'll help tourism put more money back in people's pockets.
Okay, I'll sign up, so we'll move on.
Well, I'm not, do we need 3? I mean, 2 is fine, I think, just to start getting the ideas together. I mean, unless you want to. I know you don't. Well, you got enough going on.
Can we meet during the days? Like from 8 to 2, in that range, like around lunch?
Lunchtime works.
Yeah.
Days can be difficult for some of us, but certainly everybody gets a lunch break somewhere along the line. At least we should.
Yeah. So let's elaborate. You're the one that's, would that work for you or?
Yeah, I can do it. I'm retired.
Oh, okay. What? So would you do it if it's during?
Yeah, if it's between 8 and 2.
Well, it's up to you three, so.
Okay.
We'll figure out time to get our heads together then.
Okay.
I'm very flexible.
I got a location that we can. We
Free
can-
space?
Yeah, we can have some warm coffee beans.
The only time I have anything to do is when Victoria calls me, and then she says jump, and I say,
You can take them anytime.
all right.
Yeah, so we'll make a motion.
Sure.
Probably gotta do that by.
I would move that we create a rate increase committee to start the strategy and discussion of what that might look like. That would include Ron, Jim, and Trevor.
I'll second.
I would. Why not? I wanna wait on you over here. Alright, any other discussion? Alright, all those in favor, signify by aye. So, I mean, I would think, just next month, just some ideas on what we know we probably wanna have something by November, so that doesn't mean you have to have something, right away, but at least get those things moving and then we can.
And data, the STR report,
Yeah.
that should help, right? So,
Alright.
all
Thanks.
that stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, see
Thanks,
everyone.
Randy.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
So we can kind of, you got a little bit of time to think over things and we can kind of put a little timeline together on.
You might have to call Curtis from time.
Well,
No, we will. Just to mess with him. if nothing else. Prank calling.
Yeah.
Prank calling.
Yeah. An 3 at 9 or whatever.
There you go.
Alright, so next is bylaws. You had a chance to look over them for 3 months?
For 3 months we have.
Any comments?
Pretty straightforward to me.
Anything we need to add? Probably maybe it's just thinking about things that should be there that I didn't think about. Well, I think it's a place to start. We can get those in and then as we see things that, oh yeah, that should probably be in there, then we can obviously amend it. But I think it's good to have some guidelines for us, not that we. I guess it's me, so I move that we accept the bylaw as they were presented.
I'll second
Any other discussion? Like I said, that may be something, procedure for amending or something about.
These were 7-1.
7.
Yeah, I thought there was something in there for amendments.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye. So it sounds like I had the Tourism Alliance Committee updates, but you're waiting on those, and that's fine. I just figured we ought to keep up them just so we not.
I agree.
Can I ask a question about that? Is the Tourism Alliance real? They never show up. They showed up last time, but they don't really show up to our meetings. Are they actually doing something behind the scenes that we don't see?
She is.
She's here, we're here.
Jess is doing, yeah, I mean, your communication, you guys, is fantastic.
Yeah.
As far as the.
Would you think about the consultants that we hired, is
Yeah, I
that what
think
you're
that's what
talking
you're asking.
about?
I guess
Because I would say their services are,
They're done.
they're
They're
done, right,
they're gonna be
done.
strictly
So
even more
there's this-
consulting at this point if needed, but.
I'm new to this. I see this, there's this Tourism Alliance in the background somewhere. Who's the face of it now, and what are they doing?
Smile.
And what, yeah. And-
No, no, we aren't.
So the whole thing was that
But-
somebody was gonna take on
Well,
the
the Alliance, the way I see it, there's equal seats on the Alliance and no one is really overseeing the whole thing, but it was created by the Jefferson County Board of Tourism, so it would be best to have someone on your board there all the time. During the process, when the consultants were going through and gathering information and meeting with everybody, I think you guys rotated seats, right? That seat.
Yeah, at the beginning, I know there was,
Whoever could come, like Curtis.
yeah, I came once or twice and Todd was there and
And then Trevor
Trevor.
came and then
Wendy was pretty
there.
consistent about it, yeah.
Yeah, so everybody kind of took turns, but ideally to have like a seat that the Board of Tourism is there would be something I would suggest. But we offered, BMI offered to be the facilitator as far as making sure to provide a little glue to gather the troops, because we do have paid staff. You guys don't have paid staff to do that, and we're 100% tourism, where some of the other people, like you, have historic preservation to be concerned with, and education programs, and other parts to HMI that don't involve tourism. Since we're 100% tourism, it kind of made sense that we would help provide the glue. But ideally, if you have one of your members, then you will always have a report, when it comes to that on your agenda. Unless you would like us to start doing that when we have executive director, we'd be glad, BMI be glad to do that if you'd like us to.
We have an identified list of groups that are part of the Tourism Alliance.
I think it was in that report,
It's
the,
in that
there was
report,
the nine,
Is there
18,
18?
about 9 core.
Yeah,
About 9.
there was
10
about
core.
seven or eight that showed up very, very consistently.
Yeah.
And there were about, what'd you say, 18
nine,
or 19
yeah, somewhere around there.
that were identified that should be a part of it.
Well, I think that the idea of it is good, to try to reach out
Very good.
through the county and figure out who we serve. I think that's a great idea. But and BMI is different. I mean, you're one of them, right?
Right.
So, what am I trying to say? I worry that we have this idea about how to reach out through the county, but it's a rudderless ship. Is that true?
Probably,
It's
that's
looking,
fair.
it's looking like that. I can definitely see what you're saying and taking to what Lucy just,
Because now
said as well.
BMI is in charge of the Tourism Alliance.
We're in charge.
now,
You know,
I mean, I'd recommend, I'll get copies of the reports, distribute it to everybody. Let's go through it and look at it next month and say, okay, here are things that, out of that report that we wanna make sure
yeah.
get
goes
done.
forward.
I think
and-
it's a great idea. I just don't
Yeah.
want it to die on the
Right,
vine.
right.
And that's, yeah, and that's, when I asked Sarah earlier and she was saying you can't get people to commit.
Yeah,
And
That's
that's
not
very,
for that, the lack of effort, because I put it out there.
right, yeah, no, you have, yeah, I've seen that, so,
So
and I
it's,
know what it's like when everybody's volunteering their time to do these things.
right.
But if it's,
But if we could
if
do
it's
something
important,
like a
it's
working
important.
lunch or,
It's not.
anything to entice.
Yeah, we don't
That's
intend,
good.
I mean, it would be our first meeting after having our facilitators, so we would also talk about like what works for everybody and, is is an hour enough? Is, I mean, we didn't wanna do any more than 2 hours, but, and is it every 3 months that we meet? Like more of a quarterly, and I was trying to put out there, is it, the third or fourth Thursday of every month, 3 months, every 3 months or something, you know what I mean? And that way there could be a reoccurring, invite that's out there, and, it's always on somebody's calendar, just
The
like
reason I
this
bring
is.
it up is it fits into this money question.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And our job is to dole it out and
Get the data and get the
Get the data.
information, right?
try to grow tourism. And one of the ways that we can do it is how we spend our money.
And there was a lot of money spent on that Alliance and getting it started and getting the data. The data is only good if you use it.
Right.
So I'll get that report out and someplace that we can all see it and look at it, and so next month maybe try to put a.
I think I may have sent a link to everybody.
You did,
Yeah,
you did,
yeah.
you did.
But if we do, I think that's a good point, because we need to identify what we want then from this.
The whole
Yeah,
line.
the whole thing, and what does that look like to you, and what can we do to help make that happen?
So what do they want from us?
Sounds like a plan.
I don't know that we had any new partners.
Were you able to talk to Canyon Fall Festival?
Well, so through the American Rescue Plan Fund, we gave each of the three $15,000. So Chelsea Jubilee, Douglas Grove, and Canyon Fall Festival, as well as others. But we figured that, 2020 they couldn't do anything, and they all had projects they need to get done just to keep going. Infrastructure stuff, I mean, electrical work seems to be a big one, and at least two of them, so we're trying to help that.
Chelsea Jubilee and Canyon Fall Festival.
And Douglas Grove.
The 3 county.
15, 15, 15?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Do you know if Lucy or Sir, did Riverfest get any additional funds from the city or?
They have not, she's still working to get,
She's setting up an appointment.
oh, sorry.
Okay. I just wasn't sure who, I saw some of the information listed about their headliner and that kind of stuff, and I saw they published
It's a big
ticket sales, so I just wondered if they were able to get any contributions.
I can speak to that at least a little bit. Purposely held off on setting up that meeting until some of that information was concrete.
Gotcha.
And she's working to, she being Erin, is working to set up that meeting now.
Gotcha.
what about the future meetings there? Do we want to meet on the 27th since we moved them back? Or?
We'll need to because of
Okay.
the payment process at this point.
Okay.
With us meeting to approve claims, and then whenever
Yep.
the county council needs that they can approve our claims, so
Yep.
I think if we delay it, we're gonna put ourselves in a
Sure.
bind with paying bills.
Okay. Yep.
So at this time, I believe it were, they are.
I won't
So-
be here.
Yeah, that was the one you were, okay.
And I will be gone the 25th of July.
Which one I
I
want?
don't know.
Pick one, I'll pick one.
It's not the same.
Anybody in the audience have anything?
I was just gonna say one more thing, I'm, attending a CEO summit on Wednesday at the ITA up in Fishers, or with ITA, Indiana Tourism Association, about, destination marketing post-COVID. And so everybody from around the state is coming to this, summit, and so I'm excited to see what everybody's gonna talk about and what we can bring back,
That's awesome.
so.
And I bet they're excited.
Where was it at?
You're coming.
It's in Fishers. What'd you say?
I said, I bet they're excited you're coming.
Oh, right, yeah, very true.
Hold on.
Kidding. That was it, sorry, I meant to add that to my report.
tell you one thing, Sarah skipped
And
over
then
the
do
motor
you need
trail.
this?
Oh, I did.
And Kurt and I have driven 700 miles through the back roads of southern Indiana and Kentucky in the last 2 months. And have put together 7 trails. Some of them are 40 miles, some of them are 100. And I think this is cool. I mean, these are some very cool places that you know, the people would love. If we can figure out how to get this going, I think this is something we're doing. If you're familiar with the Windy Nine out of Athens, Ohio, it's huge. They draw people who come to Athens to drive, ride motorcycles, drive their Porsches, their Corvettes on these routes that are defined for them. They make their own. It's not a festival where you have 50,000 volunteers. You know, it's you and your friends when you're in the mood. And it's a big success, big enough that they have a full-time director for the program.
Wow.
So we've got the routes defined. We can give you a GPX file. We can give you an aerial video that shows you winding around through the hills and what the elevations are off to the side. It's pretty cool. So hopefully we can.
Do we have a trail in Jefferson County?
Yeah.
Is it one that could be used for some of these poker runs or anything like that?
Well, the one that's the shortest, there's the.
Just to highlight them and get, word of mouth out there to people that this is a
Well,
part
we
of that
could
trail.
throw these videos on YouTube tomorrow. But they're editable. We can pop in photographs of the various sites along the way. We can put notes in there about, look for this particular statue or whatever. But yeah, the one that's probably, they all start at the Jefferson County Courthouse, by the way, and they all end at the courthouse. Some of them are out through. There's one called Deputy Pike, which runs out Deputy Pike. There's another one that runs out on 62 all the way to Dillsboro and then back. And all of them spend some time in Indiana and a little bit of time in Kentucky, except the Westport Loop, which is pretty awesome. And there's one called Hills and Dales over in Trimble County that's pretty cool. So if you guys want, I'll put together a Dropbox and you can just look at these and see what you
Okay,
think.
sure.
We're working with Ron and Kurt Jacobs on all that. He's shown us the awesome GPS routes in the video, and
Yeah, they're all over it.
right. So it's just
I just wanted to let you guys know.
That's cool.
I don't think, there's a friend of mine at work, goes to one down in Tennessee, the Dragon.
Oh yeah.
Or
Tail
maybe
of
it's
the
not,
Dragon.
maybe it's pointed
Yep.
to North Carolina, but I mean,
Dragon.
how it probably started with just a few guys getting together, and now he talks about it, and it's just a.
Yeah, and Kurt is the perfect guy to do this because he's a hardcore motorcycle rider and he's been all over this part of the country on motorcycles for decades. He knows all the sweet spots.
Yeah, I know that he's got a VW, and I thought that the Dragon is, at least that time he goes, is all Volkswagen folks. But I don't know if it's,
The Dragon, I think, attracts everybody.
Yeah.
other times too. Okay, so I didn't know.
Kurt's seniors, his interest is motorcycles.
I was motorcycles or different brands of cars.
Yes,
Yeah, the
Porsches
target of it is to be a motor trail, so it's any kind of motor,
Yeah.
right? Because you're a car enthusiast, and and him being a motorcycle enthusiast.
And
so.
there's one up this Hills and Dales Trail over just across the river. This would be a great bicycle.
I was just gonna say, it's also gonna attract that recreation of a
This is
bicycle.
about 40 miles. Beautiful pavement. These are our requirements. Good pavement, very little traffic, great scenery.
It's gonna be a great product to build upon and experience to add to our tourism here, so.
So do you have a contact with the Madison area bike club or?
Yes,
You-
I don't, but
Stacy,
Crowley.
Crowley.
Okay.
And, also Austin Sims is now on that
Oh,
group
that's
too,
right.
so we already work with her.
Guy that retired from John White.
And of course, part of the beauty of this is that this is an activity that can bring people into the county and to do activities through the county outside of the weekend heavy traffic times.
right, this
And
is,
have them stay.
And have them
Yeah.
stay, and it
Right.
begins to put little pieces into that Tuesday through Thursday, Monday through Thursday gap that is such a hole that needs to be filled.
Thanks for bringing it
Yeah.
up.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm bragging.
Sorry about that. I know you are. He's very proud
Good
of
for
you.
you.
You should be.
Oh, I think it's cool.
You did it very humbly though. so-
Yeah, you did.
Actually, Kurt is the guy, he's the driving wheel destiny on this. It was his idea originally. I had thought about it in terms of, the hotel, about car guys, and thinking, wow, they're probably up, maybe we ought to try to find some routes, but he had already started.
Yeah.
He way ahead. You don't know him, he's an interesting guy.
Anything else?
I feel like we should keep talking, it's awful quick.
What? We've made up for another meeting,
Yeah.
so.
Kids are gonna be awake when I get home.
I've been waiting for you all day.
Motion to adjourn.
Huh?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye. Thanks for coming.